My research group is especially focused on the preclinical part. We are looking at the effects of stress on mood and anxiety and depression like behavior in animal models. What we try to find out is which mechanisms during the stress response lead to the increased risk of depression, and whether this can lead to novel treatment options that we have to eventually develop novel treatment modalities to treat depression better in human patients. We work mainly with animal models, with mouse models. So our approach is first of all to look whether we can mimic a phenotype which we know exists also in patients. So this can be increased anxiety, or obviously we cannot model things like mood easily in mice, but we can look at motivation or sleep rhythms or endocrine profiles which we can measure, and by modulation of certain risk factors, genetic factors or environmental factors, we can then see whether we can generate a very similar phenotype to the ones that we find in patients. But this is only the first step. In the preclinical research, we are able to then actually look at the underlying mechanisms. And to do that, we look, for instance, at gene expression profiles in specific brain regions. We look at protein expression in those brain regions. We have gathered quite a number of interesting data, both in the clinic and in the preclinic, which allows us to draw certain conclusions. If you are carrying a specific genetic risk factor, then we know that your risk to develop depression, for instance, is increased. One reason why we think our research is so important is that depression is one of the most frequent mood disorders, and it's actually very common. It's twice as common in women than in men, and in women you can estimate up to 20% of the population will develop depression sometime during their life. So we're now seeing really a surge of novel information, which hopefully will lead also within the next years to the development of novel compounds, which are then also available for the patients in the clinic. We will not be able to prevent stress-related disorders by our research, but what we will be able hopefully to do one day is to understand why one individual develops a stress-related disorder like depression and another is not.